on and welcome, friends, to episode 6 of the Lord of the Wrongs podcast, the only Tolkien podcast the professor himself would dismiss as juvenile and crass. My name is Dan Zerby, and I'm here with my co-host and good friend Sean Kelly. And together we will be discussing the writings, adaptations, news, games, anything else that has to do with J.R.R. Tolkien's legendarium in a way we are quite certain he would not approve of. What's going on, Sean? How's your voice doing?
It's these pipes have never been better, Zerb. I've been sick and allergied up.
The allergies are crazy right now.
Yeah, the keen-eared could probably tell that I have been experiencing allergies in the last few episodes, but yeah, this has just been getting rough.
We're approaching the most pollenous time of mid to late spring,
and I should probably just dial back on my hobby of casual bushwhacking during this time.
You mean what I'll be doing later today?
Well, yeah, you're literally going to be weed whacking. But
yeah,
I'm just going to go into the woods and just hit trees and bushes that I don't need to, and just stir up some trouble.
And then take deep breaths through your nose.
Yeah, basically, just anything. I'm trying to train my body to not be so weak anymore, but it doesn't seem to be working.
Yeah, I wish I could remember the name of the comedian, but there was a comic I saw on Instagram that had a joke about how he went to England during the springtime, but he didn't experience any seasonal allergies. And his conclusion was that allergies are the punishment for white people being where they don't belong. And I will say, being here in Connecticut in spring can make you feel like you definitely don't belong here.
It does feel that way sometimes, yeah.
Yeah, it can be pretty brutal.
You know what people who live in the British colonies have that is almost as bad as allergies?
Oh, what's that, Sean?
Spiders. Do you like spiders?
I do like spiders. I think they're really cool. I almost always will try to, if I see them indoors, I almost always try to put them outside. Although I admit, if they're of a certain size and I'm in a certain type of mood, I will flush them down the toilet.
I agree.
You still creep me out. I'm still human.
Yeah, there's a certain size. I was saying the way I phrased that was to it sort of include Australia and
oh god, yeah,
any spider that lives over there that's bigger than the palm of your hand it's just allowed to like leave our Earth and go to a different planet and evolve and create its own civilization. I'm fine with that, but as long as it's not here.
Yeah, I mean spiders of a certain size, they just give you the willies.
And we'll come back to that in just a moment. But first, we've got to don our dunce caps.
Yes, and go over and sit in corrections corner.
Correctional corner almost at this point.
Yeah, fan favorite reoccurring segment, correction corner. So last week I ended the episode with a Tolkien fun fact that he had a passion for making lamps, and I'll be honest with you guys, I'm not going to come up with any excuse. I just made it up on the spot. I felt trapped. I wasn't prepared.
Zerby.
I know. I literally looked at the lamp on my desk and went, "He likes lamp," like in Anchorman.
Yeah. Your moth brain was taking over at the time.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I got a head full of broken marbles, and that's what it came up with. So yeah, Tolkien, I just made it up. I mean, I suppose it's possible. I don't believe any of his biographers ever mentioned anything about having a passion for making lamps.
One way or the other. So,
yeah,
in a vacuum, if they don't say he didn't like lamps,
I mean, Schrodinger's lamp says that Tolkien liked to make lamps, unless we know for a fact that he didn't, which we don't know.
Don't know. So,
yeah, I don't believe any of his.
to interpretation.
Yeah, I don't think any of his letters said anything against lamp making, so therefore it's possible.
Yeah, I also had a bit of a blunder. I did mention that he gets high on the weekends. Once again, don't know for sure one way or the other.
Yeah,
but we do know it wasn't
not likely.
Our sources say it wasn't marijuana, and it was more likely to be opium or.
Oh, Jesus Christ!
Okay, that's also. I'm gonna dial that one back right now while we're still in the corner.
Yeah,
I just had my knuckles wrapped with a yardstick for submitting another incorrect.
Yeah, maybe we should just quit while we're behind.
Yeah, well, for now, we'll see what happens at the end of the episode. But yes, he didn't do that from all the sources I've seen, and just from having some idea of what the guy was like.
Yeah, not bloody likely.
So back to spiders, sir.
I was gonna say, you said something about spiders earlier.
Yeah, we were talking about how spiders of a certain size just start to get. I don't know. I think everybody's got a different spot on the scale. For some, it's literally any size, so it's a very small
for sure.
Becomes one of
okay. One of my good friends and former roommates, I terrified him with just a hair tie once. Sent him flying across the room because I told him it was a spider.
Well, that's cruel, but
it's okay. He'll never listen to this podcast.
Oh, well, it's hilarious too. Don't worry. Yeah, for me, it's probably around the size of a wolf spider. I've had a bad experience, which is, I don't know, a couple inches across.
That size is where you start getting the heebie-jeebies, especially when you find them indoors. I don't know what it is about seeing a spider indoors that makes it infinitely more.
It's not where it belongs. Belongs out in nature.
You don't belong here
as creatures.
This place was specifically made to keep things like you out, and I don't like that you're in here. You're in my space, and now I feel trapped. Yeah, if you're outdoors, you can run in the opposite direction. If you're indoors,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, where
there's room to retreat, but I think the other issue is if you lose a spider outdoors, it could be literally anywhere on Earth. If you lose a spider in your house, it could be anywhere in your house, and that's a very different. That's a big distinction there.
Probably hiding under our listeners' pillows right now.
All right. Well, I'm sure they'll appreciate that, Zerb.
Yeah. Well,
but yeah, so that's about 2 inches, right? That starts to become an issue.
Yeah, agreed.
What about like 15 feet across?
Actually, at that point, I don't think I would feel the same kind of. Again, I love the word "the willies" for it because it really it's descriptive, even though it's kind of a silly word. At that point, though, 15 feet, I think that's just sheer terror.
I was going to say,
it's not like where you can shake it off. That's
abject terror,
pants crapping. Yeah. Holy God, freeze up or flee immediately type of size of a spider.
Yeah, well, that's what we're dealing with today.
It sure is.
We're going to talk about spiders in Middle Earth. We got Shelob, Ungoliant, and some 8-legged freaks. So
great underrated film, by the
way. I did like it. I know you're a weirdly big fan.
I love those. I love that kind of schlocky, goofy sort of thing. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's the right kind of bad.
It's the perfect kind of bad movie. Anyway.
Yeah. So we all. I don't think many of us will know what or who Ungoliant was, but we have all, at least hopefully, heard of Shelob. And
yes,
Shelob is. I guess we don't know if she's a direct daughter or a descendant of Ungoliant.
The text tells us that she was a child of Ungoliant. Now, whether that's a direct child or just a descendant of.
It seems.
I think that's open to interpretation.
Yeah, it seems sort of like the children of a vampire are sort of his
right.
brood,
Yeah.
but
and it's not
necessarily
a birthing. Yeah, exactly. It's
a direct.
Yeah.
But Shelob has still been around for a long time. Do we know how old she is approximately? I mean, I think we can
I think we know for sure. But
we can speculate that she's been around since probably the first age, if she is a direct descendant or a direct child. Because spoilers to even our episode later, Ungoliant does die or disappear in the first stage.
Yeah, it's true.
So it'd be a few thousand years old at least.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's a safe. I think that's a safe bet that she's a few thousand years old.
Yeah, and she's big and gross and scary.
She really is, and her home is, of course, below Cirith Ungol, which is Sindarin, I believe, for Pass of the Spider, which you might remember from Lord of the Rings. It's where Sam or Gollum leads Sam and Frodo past Minas Morgul and up the stairs of Cirith Ungol, and that's where they encounter Shelob.
And you might recognize the word Ungol from another
Ungoliant.
word for a spider, Ungoliant.
Yeah. And spider. It means spider.
It seems self-explanatory now.
Ungoliant's name means dark spider in Sindarin. But yeah, Cirith Ungol is also Sindarin for Past the Spider. There you go.
Yeah, and I mean, we don't really know much about Shelob that isn't sort of just covered in Lord of the Rings, right? I mean, we know she's lived there for a while.
Yep, that she has this more or less deal with Sauron to, he'll feed her while she will guard that pass.
That is an important distinction to make, I think, with her and with the Balrog as well.
Indeed.
Those are so in Lord of the Rings, Sauron does command all of the orcs and goblins and such. I think he sort of has command over wargs and
the evil wolves.
The
wolves are a little tough because Tolkien seems to regularly make a distinction between like evil wolves, the wargs, but we don't really hear about regular wolves that often. Yeah. So it's hard to say for sure if all wolves are evil.
We can maybe cover that in another episode.
Yes, we could.
Part of our catchphrase.
If you listen to the last episode, we came up with a lot of ideas.
But
keep that going, I think.
So he doesn't directly command, especially the Balrog is sort of on the same level of power as he is. Probably not as powerful a Maya, but it's also a Maya.
And he is just like Sauron. That Balrog was a servant of Morgoth, of Melkor. So Sauron was always his right hand guy, though. So.
Yeah, he was his lieutenant.
The Balrogs, I think, it's safe to say, are not nearly as powerful as Sauron. But
they were just sort of the elite soldiers almost of him. But
they were the bodyguards of Morgoth. Yeah, Melkor's bodyguards.
Yeah, but
they actually come in later. So
they don't. They don't really take orders from him, but they sort of evil's all sort of drawn to each other in itself in Tolkien. So
Sauron has like a deal with Ungoliant. I think that's either explicitly said or explicitly implied.
And Shelob. Right.
Oh, excuse me. I meant Shelob. Yeah,
he has a deal with both of them at the end of the day, but he doesn't really command. Morgoth has a deal with Ungoliant, and Sauron has one with Shelob. But she just kind of does what she wants, and he's like, hey, you can live here and basically kind of be my, not a pet, but my friend. And
it's like you guard the pass of Cirith Ungol, and
I'll spare a couple orcs for you to
you can take as many
on.
orcs as you want, and I will send my prisoners as well to you to eat. She's always hungry.
Yeah, so speaking of always hungry, and it's a weird transition, but
I feel attacked. Is this going to be an attack on me?
No. The nature of these giant spiders, it's kind of, they're not really they're flesh and blood creatures, but they're more of a manifestation, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I think it's not quite the same thing, because we don't think the spirits that inhabit these spider shapes are Maya. So I hesitate to
I would
make
think
this comparison,
because Maya are like sort of the level of angels, right? So like the devil would be a Maiar in the Christian mythos, but say like a lesser demon sort of tormentor, evil spirit. I kind of see that
kind of like an evil spirit, I think, is the best.
But there are a number of like sort of little baddie evil creatures that are still threatening and powerful compared to your average Joe.
Of course. But, for your average fellow just hanging around the mountains of shadow.
I wouldn't want to walk into a cave and meet Shelob face to face, that's for certain. But she's not on the same level as even Ungoliant, but of Maiar.
It's hard to say. This is another one of those places where we don't have a solid answer as far as I know. Perhaps a actual Tolkien scholar would have a better way of explaining this. But as far as I can tell, it's not an explicit answer to what.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I don't think they have a definitive answer themselves.
Yeah, we can't say. Yeah, I don't think we're given that. Definitely, they are these kind of evil spirits or malicious spirits or Maya. We don't have specific answers.
So you know what? There's something we haven't really talked about, and that's the frame narrative.
We really haven't at all, actually.
I think that's something that would be good to touch on, at least briefly. So frame narrative is basically the way that or the point of view that a story is being told from, or like it's like in a story, who's telling this story,
right?
So like in The Princess Bride, the grandpa is telling the story, for like reading the story from a book, and that's the frame narrative for this movie.
For the film, it's actually a different frame narrative in the book for Princess Bride, which is way more complicated. But I've never read it, so I knew it was different, but I didn't want to. I do recommend it though. It's the book and the movie are both perfect.
This is just we're gonna talk about and make fun of Tolkien, but we're just gonna be promoting The Princess Bride this whole time. So, which honestly seems accurate.
I mean, it's so good. It's so good.
Yeah. But so the stories in Tolkien are basically all. So I believe the Silmarillion is told from the point of view of elves, but is it men that are recording it?
So the whole frame narrative, exactly. I think everything that's written about Middle-earth, my understanding is that anybody who hears this and wants to correct this, you can send us an email at lordofthewrongspodcast@gmail.com. But my understanding is that the real frame narrative is like everything that was published is like part of the Red Book of Westmarch.
Yeah.
So it's Bilbo and Frodo's accounts and translations. I think mostly Bilbo's translations. And then Tolkien found the Red Book and translated it into modern English.
Yeah.
I think that's my understanding.
But I think he also... Didn't the Red Book end up in the hands of men eventually? I don't know. There's something like this. So basically,
it may end up in Gondor or something like that.
Most of the stories are all told by, especially the older ones, by elves.
Right. Yeah.
So it's basically the elves' knowledge of how something happened.
This is all lore that would have been stored either in Minas Tirith or in Rivendell.
And sort of passed down by word of mouth or by other books or whatever.
Yeah,
and then
I mean, they did have writing in Middle-earth. Yeah, the elves can write, so they probably do have plenty of actual writings on.
Yeah, it's a sort of brilliant way to not have to answer every single question about everything, and you could just say, "Well, so you know what? They just didn't know."
Right. Yeah. Yeah. There's like there's plenty of times in the various versions of what Tolkien wrote that there are, I can't think of any examples, but I'm sure there's even like published parts that are somewhat contradictory or at least kind of don't make perfect sense. And it works because you can the frame narrative gives you that excuse and like, oh, these elves.
Yeah, they just remembered it differently or whatever.
Yeah, they remembered it differently, or they heard it secondhand.
Or
this part these are all translations. With maybe it was just colorful language, stuff like that. So there's lots of reasons why there might be, inconsistencies and stuff. Because there's inconsistencies in accounts of real history too. Point of view and who was there and how they heard about it. I mean, it's all, So it works.
Yeah. So that's why we don't know, we're not going to know the whole history of Shelob because, I mean, she's a spider that's been creeping around in caves for
most people come across her
thousands of years. Yeah, aren't many to tell the tale.
Yeah, like people, certainly the orcs know about her and everything and fear her. But yeah, no one really knows.
We don't have too many orcish accounts.
Yeah, there's no, definitely not. Yeah, there are very orcs aren't much for writing.
No.
But yeah, no, she doesn't let people in. It's hard to get to know her. She's got these walls up.
I can fix her, Zerby.
Oh my god!
No, there's what's the
Sean? That's toxic. Stop it.
There's a video game that ends up personifying her as like a beautiful spirit woman.
Is that Shadow of Mordor?
Yeah, the second
they make
Shadow
her like a
Mordor
sexy
game.
Witch spider lady.
Yeah.
It's like
that game was pretty fun, but I mean, my goodness, they took some liberties.
Yeah,
that much.
Yeah. Did we talk about? We might have talked about this already. I can't remember.
No, I don't think we've touched on video games at all. They're
You know what? I think it was in the episode we recorded and got messed up. The lost episode.
Yes, the fabled lost episode that shouldn't see the light of day anyway. It was rough.
Yeah, it was bad. It was just it just became a tangle of audio that was mismatched.
But she's a spider, folks. She's just a spider.
Yeah, or a monstrous thing in spider form, because she's not exactly a spider, because she has a stinger on her rear
abdomen.
end. Yeah, which is not how spiders are. Yeah, so she's obviously not a real spider, but she's in a very spider-like form. She's we can say spider for effect.
Yeah, I mean she is. She is a spider.
That's what it looks like. Yeah, that's what she looks like. Yeah, she's
like Gandalf is a wizard.
Right. Yeah.
Like he's not always a wizard. He's just taken wizard form.
Right. But, yeah, that's what I was going to say that earlier. Yeah. I was nervous that people would think that we're saying that Shelob is a Maya, which like I said, I can't say
it's
that.
a different level, but overall, she's just a scary character that that whole section is another one of those sections that Tolkien just shows his ability to write creepy passages.
Yeah, I mean, it's really cool. Agreed.
Yeah.
So that's Shelob. I mean, we know what happens. She fights with Frodo. She stings Frodo and paralyzes him, wraps him up. He gets taken off to the tower. Sam fights with her and stabs her in the belly, and she runs off. We don't know for sure if she dies. Like that, I think it says that no one knows for sure. I think it might say in the text, no one knows for sure what happened to her.
Weirdly, a spoiler alert again, but the same fate as her mother or grandma or whatever.
Possibly, yeah.
Well, I guess same level of indeterminate fate.
Yeah.
But I've got a bit of a. I guess it's a new segment now. So Tolkien was famously against the concept and use of allegory.
Yeah, despite if you've read Leaf by Niggle, which is definitely an allegory that he wrote, but it's the only one, to be fair.
Yeah, and I mean that one's also sort of ridiculous as well. But he detested the idea that his work was
his legendarium work. Yeah,
yes, was interpreted as an allegory for say people will say that like, oh, this is just a story about World War One and his experience,
or World War Two, or
whatever it may be.
Sauron is Hitler. People have been saying this stuff for a long time, that orcs are Nazis.
But he just fully disavows all that.
Yeah, I mean, in the prologue of most copies of Lord of the Rings that you get, or like I guess more the introduction, because the prologue is concerning hobbits and such. But the introduction, he says explicitly, this is not an allegory, and I don't like allegory.
Which is why we've decided to come up with our own interpretations of what allegories he might have been working with here.
Because that's what we do here at the Lord of the Wrongs
I don't know
podcast.
if I believe him.
Yeah, you know what? I know he said that, but he said lots of things.
So this is the segment I'd like to call Alleged Allegory. And
I should have had a sound effect ready for that, right?
We don't have a.
There you go.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's that'll do for now. Thank you. And
I'm so sorry.
No, it's better than nothing. We'll figure out something in post. We'll put it in post.
Put it in post. We won't.
No, we won't. And so I would like to posit that Tolkien's a professor, or was, and he probably had to deal with a lot of instances of crunch time. He's got a lot of papers to grade.
Yeah,
he's also giving out a lot of assignments that are due at a certain time. I would like to posit the idea that Shelob represents the concept of the due date, an upcoming
deadline,
sure. And it's something that as a professor he would have feared constantly. And I don't know, I thought
from his publishers,
publishers, which he was constantly. I mean, that was probably one of his biggest, probably not fears, because he just kept pushing it back for literally years.
Yeah, be like, I'm still working on the sequel to The Hobbit. Leave me alone.
Yeah, but I mean, think about it. It's sort of like death in a way. Is like their due date was up.
Right?
Like, we've got to get to Mount Doom. We got to do it by a certain time, or else our quest will have failed.
Yeah,
and we'll get an F from Galadriel, I guess.
Yeah,
and I think when they finally defeat Shelob, I feel like Frodo succumbs to the due date and the stress, and then Sam conquers it by, I think, probably just punching the teacher back in the face and telling them that he'll give him the assignment when it's due.
It's like, I'll get it to you when I get it to you.
Yeah,
he just keeps pushing that due date back.
Yeah. So I think this is just a story of how procrastination sort of wins the day.
Yeah,
and that's why I'm so in love with this allegory, because
this allegory that Tolkien definitely did.
Yeah, just in this section, and because if I can have somebody in a story to champion me putting something off, I will gladly take that any day of the week.
That's why Sam is the real hero of the story.
Yes,
because he pushes off deadlines. I mean, spiders.
Yeah, so that's our first dry run into exploring the many allegories in Tolkien's work.
Yeah, because we don't believe him when he says that he put allegories in.
I believe him about basically everything else, but that I don't know. The whole thing's about World War II.
That's
try
definitely
to tell me
what
otherwise.
It is. Yeah.
Yeah, Aragorn's Winston Churchill. Don't lie to me and say he's not.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's that. Let's not get any further.
I'm just imagining how furious that statement would have made the professor.
Oh my god! Yeah.
No, he's not. Why would you say that, you idiot?
Yeah, and that's why we're here.
Yeah, that's why we're here.
We're also here
at the head of the episode, top of the episode. The professor would not approve of what we're doing. It's stupider than what he would be doing.
Well, yeah, exactly. And that's why that's why we're here. So we're also here to talk about Ungoliant in this specific case. So do you want to talk about the biggest spider with a question mark of all time?
Yeah, I would be happy to. So as I mentioned earlier, Ungoliant in Sindarin means dark spider, and if you're for the elvish nerds out there who want to know, in Quenya, it's Ungoliante, which still means dark spider. It's just the Quenya. She's also known as the. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, well, Quenya is just even more complicated than Elvish itself, but it really is beautiful to hear.
Oh yeah.
I mean, get this: the philologist who made up his own conlang was good at making up a pretty sounding language.
Heavily inspired by Welsh, is my understanding.
Yeah.
Anyway, Ungoliant is also known as the Gloom Weaver, which is just such a cool. If there's not a metal band out there called Gloom Weaver, come on, what are you guys doing?
Yeah, I mean, you've got that one ready, just teed up for you.
I mean, it's badass. Anyway, so Ungoliant teams up with Melkor to just screw things up for everybody else. As we mentioned in the previous episode about the two trees, Ungoliant drinks them. Melkor and Ungoliant come to Valinor.
Weird way to eat a tree, by the way.
Yeah, so what happens is they come over the hills of Valinor to the trees, and Melkor stabs both of them with his spear, and she just slurps up all of the sap that flows like blood, which is also just light as well. It's weird. There's gooey light coming out of the trees, I guess.
Hard to.
She just slurps it all up. She loves it, and while this is not something we're going to do very often, I think on the podcast, there's a short sentence here about how badass and terrifying Ungoliant is from the Silmarillion that I am going to read right now. So, like I said, Melkor stabs the trees with his spear. Ungoliant drinks it up, and still she thirsted, and going to the wells of Varda, she drank them dry. But Ungoliant belched forth black vapors as she drank, and swelled to a shape so vast and hideous that Melkor was afraid.
Yeah, there's a lot of gravity in that.
Some great alliteration, and I just love that passage. I think it's so cool. I just wanted an excuse to read it.
But basically, anything involving Melkor and Ungoliant is just metal as hell.
It's so metal.
There are multiple, I know, metal bands that have based a lot of stuff on Tolkien. Because,
there's a lot there.
I mean, a giant spider that belches black smoke is just
black vapor, just darkness. She emits darkness.
Yeah.
And that's part of how she protected Melkor from the other Valar, is with this, like, she produces this impenetrable
magical darkness.
Yeah, so they can't see them. So Morgoth, in exchange for her help to screw everything up, he basically promises her anything you want, you can have. However,
but I won't do that.
If that is
give you the Silmarils.
Giving her the Silmarils, being the tricksy double-crossing sort, he withholds the Silmarils. Now, we mentioned the Silmarils in the last episode, and we will do a whole episode on it because there's so much there. But a brief overview of the Silmarils. They are 3 jewels made by Feanor, the greatest craftsman in the history of Arda. Also the biggest dick in the history of Arda, or at least the biggest dick who's an elf. Yeah. And he creates them, and they hold the last light of the 2 trees of Valinor in them, and everybody wants them, and they cause a lot of trouble.
Yeah, they cause a lot of problems.
They cause a lot of trouble, but that's
all we need to say on those for now. Yeah, they're basically the most beautiful and valuable things. Probably ever made in Arda.
Yes, everybody wants them. Everybody wants them.
Especially Morgoth, who covets them. And so that's why the only thing he refuses to give Ungoliant is
the Silmarils after he steals them,
But she obviously wants them because she is
always hungry.
Unendingly hungry.
And
they have the last light of the 2 trees.
Yeah. The 3 jewels have the last light of the 2 trees.
Yes. Other way around.
So as Morgoth says, no, I'm not giving it to you. She becomes really pissed off. She becomes furious, and is basically threatening to eat Melkor and devour him. And fortunately, he calls in his bodyguards, the Balrogs.
Yeah.
And they protect him with their whips and lashes and swords and stuff while Melkor books it. It's like, you guys distract her, I'll run away. That's exactly what happens.
Imagine even imagine from the movie Balrog, if you had 7 of those and they were all attacking this one spider and couldn't kill her, they could just hold her off.
They're just holding her off so Melkor,
the most powerful being that's ever lived on Arda, can escape. Or
he's running from her.
Powerful. I think she just, after eating those crazy powerful trees and all that light, she'd probably just gotten power beyond control.
I mean, again, a size so huge and horrible that Melkor's terrified of her, and
she's really good at eating stuff. So he doesn't want to be put on the menu for that day.
No, he does not. No one wants to get eaten by a giant spider. Not even the biggest bad wants to get eaten by the giant spider. So what happens to Ungoliant? Hard to say.
We don't know. Yeah. That's just another one of those things that it is just left up to interpretation and just left open because the elves don't know.
They don't know. It is supposed, without being confirmed, that she actually consumed herself after eating as much as she could.
Hungry.
She's just so hungry that she actually eats herself to death, which is pretty awesome. Again, write a metal song about that if there was not one already. I'm sure there is.
Consuming so much light that you just consume yourself is pretty hardcore.
It really, really, really is. And that's So we don't know for sure. I like to think that when the world ends and Melkor comes back, Ungoliant will probably come back as well. But who knows?
Yeah, and just be there to. I mean, if we have the world eating snake, right, in Norse mythology,
right? Yeah,
I sort of see her as what is it? Is it Jormungandr?
Yes.
I think she's sort of a parallel for that,
Yeah, I think that's a good insight. Agreed. I think you're probably right on that. Definitely inspired by, I think.
Yeah, but before she goes, she does create quite the progeny. I mean, this is a spider we're talking about.
Yeah. Well, we mentioned Shelob already, obviously. She is a child, whether it's a direct child of or just descendant of Ungoliant. She had offspring, and she ate some of them too.
Yeah, I mean,
being the hungry bitch
the slow ones.
yeah, the slower ones, I'm sure.
And I mean, I would speculate that they were probably all over the place in Beleriand, which is another concept we should explain in another video.
Yeah, but Beleriand basically was a part of Middle Earth at a certain point. It wasn't.
Middle Earth was bigger before the Valar stepped in and fought Morgoth, basically, and a whole bunch of it just got rearranged and sunk into the ocean and all that. Yeah. So
thanks a lot, Olmo.
Yeah, it was sort of a different world before the Second Age.
It sure was.
But there's a lot more. It was bigger. There's a lot more forest and everything. So I would speculate that there was evil spiders in dark places all over the place. But in the Third Age, in Lord of the Rings, I think they're pretty much all in Mirkwood. At this point.
Yeah, you'll remember the giant spiders of Mirkwood in The Hobbit, where they were a lot easier to kill than Ungoliant. I meant Shelob, because the dwarf. I mean, Frodo uses sting and kills her. Sam can't quite kill Shelob with sting, but we know that sting kills the spiders in Mirkwood, as well as they get killed by the rocks getting thrown at them too.
Yeah, which makes me think that we were sort of briefly discussing before the episode, but it said that Shelob is a child of Ungoliant. It makes me think she actually is a direct child because she's so much more powerful.
Yeah, I think that's probably true. And she was also likely one of the smaller spiders who was also quick that were children of Ungoliant because she didn't get herself eaten. So which is imagine she's one of the smaller children of Ungoliant. That's just a guess of mine.
Just something I'd rather not think about too much.
Yeah.
But the other ones I would guess are, I mean, they could even be some of them Shelob's children, but
yeah, that's possible too.
They're probably farther down the line, or just didn't get as much of her power. So that's why they can talk. I mean, although we know some animals can talk, so who knows? But
but evil spiders can all talk. We don't know. We don't hear Shelob talk, but I have to imagine that she'd be capable of it if she had a mind.
Well, yeah, because Bilbo hears him when he puts on the ring.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah. Bilbo can understand the spiders when he puts on his ring in Mirkwood. Yeah, when they've captured the dwarves. I
wonder what would have happened if Frodo put on the ring. He probably could have.
Or Sam. Yeah, they might have understood Shelob. Yeah.
I mean, also they would have just been immediately descended on by Nazgul. And
for sure.
I mean, they were right next to Mordor at that point.
That would have been a very bad place and time.
It would have been game over. But so the spiders in Mirkwood were also creepy, but they're just not as threatening, which is sort of in line.
Yeah, they're easier to kill.
Yeah, it's sort of in line with a lot of the stuff in The Hobbit, where it's just it
certainly would be less powerful. Yeah,
just a smaller scale of threats and adventures, but similarly, I mean, it's certainly a creepy situation. Everybody, they all would have died if Bilbo wasn't there to save their asses.
That's right, Bilbo the hero. So I think that's it for what we got for spiders, really, right? Unless you have anything else.
Well, I've got a sponsorship I think I got lined up. And I think
it's a new perfect. Mad Men of the West segment?
It is. We've got a Mad Men of the West. So I figure that's a weird I don't remember the theme song of Mad Men, but We could probably steal that without repercussions, right?
Maybe fair use. I'm not sure.
Yeah, who knows?
I'm not sure.
So
I probably
I'm
won't
thinking
do it.
with all these spiders, even if it's just Shelob, that's 8 legs, right?
Yeah, which is plenty.
And if we're covering the Hobbit in these remakes and adaptations,
sure, why leave it out?
That's a lot of legs up in those trees. So I'm thinking we talked to. This is a big one. I don't know if we've gone this big before, but I think we talked to Nike about getting an Air Force One sponsorship.
For all 8
yes, just
at the end of those legs.
I want to see Shelob.
It helps them jump.
8 sweet kicks on those legs, and they don't even have to be the same.
Oh yeah,
she could have 4 different pairs of Air Force Ones.
It's true.
Yeah, they just came out with a movie about it.
Oh yeah, they did a movie about Nike. There's a lot of movies coming out that I think are just commercials for things.
Yeah, like sort of like Queen. The Queen documentary was just a commercial to listen to Queen's music.
Yeah, exactly. It felt more like that than an actual movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Nike commercial, even BlackBerry to a degree, even though who's buying a BlackBerry these days?
Yeah, I guess that's a weird. Wait, they're making a BlackBerry movie?
Yeah, the guy who plays Dennis on It's Always Sunny is starring in it.
Oh, that's so funny, actually.
And he's bald. It's very strange. It's a weird preview I saw.
I can't wait to watch that in like 4 years and still be weirded out by it. But I mean, if that's all true, then that means we could easily slip in here with an Air Force One sponsorship. And I would just love. What's that?
Well, I was just thinking though, like, how is she going to pump up her sneakers if she's wearing all 8 of her feet have sneakers on them? How's she going to pump them up? Because that's really where the power of the sneaker, the basketball sneaker, comes from.
Maybe she just has like a sort of a cadre of orc, like shoe pumpers, and then I would just love to see her. When Sam comes out into that clearing sort of thing and fights her
with the star glass,
if she sort of just like jumps out and there's just an excessive amount of like basketball sneaker noise.
It's just
and she's just sort of she's like she's crossing them up and
she's doing fakes,
yeah,
she's faking left and right.
She's like dribbling a ball of her own spider silk. That's yeah. And they're playing Aaron Carter's "The Day I Beat Shaq" or whatever it was.
Yeah. Did he die recently?
Aaron Carter? Yeah, like I
think he did,
a year ago,
weird.
Maybe.
Yeah, weird.
Yeah, sad. Which is, I guess, a good note for us to end on.
Jesus, yeah. Rest in peace, Aaron Carter. You were clearly a troubled young man, and I'm sorry for what happened to you.
Yes, thanks for bringing us out on a. But you've teed me up for with a nice low note here.
Yeah, I sure did.
So yeah, I guess it's my turn to come up with a fun fact.
No, it's your turn to tell us your fun fact that you researched.
Come up with the. I produced the research. Okay, here's an actual fun fact. So Tolkien.
Wow, you are not.
Fun fact about Tolkien is he, as a linguistics professor and a philologist, Tolkien was the first ever recorded man to use emojis. He used to put little smiley faces and eggplants and stuff in his letters. If you look back there's a whole book of his letters.
Compiled. I believe by John.
And he signs many, if not most or all of them, with a lot of emojis. Right? Yeah. That was one of his favorites.
For sure. I think his idea for the Tengwar originally was just emojis.
Yeah, it was sort of like wingdings. Tolkien was a big fan of wingdings, actually. Yeah. For those of us who aren't... I mean, like, there's probably a scary number of people... Okay, let's not say a number of people, but a percentage of people who would listen to this that just have no idea what wingdings are. But
yeah, get on Microsoft Word, yo.
It's a font on Microsoft Word, yeah.
Play around with the fonts. It's half the fun of using Word.
Yeah. If there was a Tengwar font, I'd be... We'd be exclusively writing to each other in that font.
You definitely can download the
Tengwar
keyboard
true.
for your phone. I know for sure you can. I don't know how to do it, but I know.
Okay, that is something. Of course, you would know that.
Yeah,
this guy's got beautiful Tengwar.
Yeah.
All right. Well, anyway, with that, I would say.
With that being said, yeah, and I also want to say something we should be adding, I think, into the episodes, that if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, that you can email the podcast and we can address it in an episode. You just have to email us at lordofthewrongspodcast@gmail.com.
Yeah, that's where you can reach us. Hopefully with positivity, but also negativity.
Yeah, you know what? If we're entertained enough by your hate mail, we'll read it.
Yeah, sure.
But if you have nice things to say, we really do like compliments as well.
Yeah, so you can keep the hate mail private and then keep the positivity public.
Yeah,
I'm fine with that.
Indeed.
Right. So
with that being said, join us on the next episode of the Lord of the Wrongs podcast. We've had a blast, and hopefully you'll be listening in next time. Namarie, friends.
Namarie.